Yeah.
The Auburn Industrial Development Authority meeting of Wednesday, April 20th will come to order. The order of business is roll call.
Mr. Macy,
Here.
Mr. Andre,
Present.
Mr. Cuddy,
Here.
Ms. Wilbur McLeod,
Here.
Ms. McIntyre, Ms. Green,
Here.
Mr. Giantino.
Here.
Mr. Gasper, Mr. Gravis.
Minutes for review and approval of March 16th, the regular meeting minutes and the audit committee meeting minutes. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Taylor, you got my
Discussion?
corrections,
Sure.
right?
Pardon me?
I emailed Taylor a couple corrections, just no big deal. Just says I wasn't at, it says Roger Beer was at the last meeting and my name's not listed.
Oh, I did not get that, but we
Oh,
can.
with the change.
Will you
we
make
can
that
approve
change,
it with the
please?
change. Yep.
Are there any other changes or additions to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions carried. Bills and communications. RJC Development Public Hearing invoices.
Yep, so we have two invoices for the public hearing, they're both $44.28. Then we have a TDW bill for $4,750, this is for the April bill. Then we have a Q1 invoice to CETA for $5,030.80, which gives a breakdown of, one was a pilot expense disbursement and one was project related. That was for the public hearing notices to be sent out. We have Buckingham and Fulton to finish our audit. That was $2,650.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to accept those payments?
So moved.
Second, Terry.
I'll second
All those in favor?
Aye.
it. Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions carried. Thank you. Report of treasurer.
Okay, so I looked at the financials that were sent over. The only income we have year to date is $500 in admin fee. So I'm not familiar with how those fees usually come in. I don't know, is it supposed to be it's 50,000 for the year, so I don't know how it's supposed to come in or if it's just when people apply.
So it's
For
based
project?
off of projects. So
Yeah.
that's a fee that the projects pay to us.
Okay, so only $500 so far this year. So our expenses of 46,000 are basically we're showing a $46,000 deficit at this point just because of the operating expenses.
So it just for Ms. Green's benefit, the other administrative fees come through CETA, correct? So we're like, you talked about the bill that's forthcoming.
Not the
So-
income admin fees.
Oh, okay.
She's referring to the income fees that's based off of the project.
Okay, gotcha.
That's the income.
Okay.
Possibly Taylor can answer this question. The increase in contract services over our budget.
The increase in contract services is the Q4 payment from 2021 that went to CETA. Normally, we had went over this, I don't think we were here. Normally Tracy would do this behind the scenes and have reflect prior years. I did not do this year. So Buckingham and Holton is aware that it does sit on our balance sheet. It will be removed and your budget will go back to what it is.
Okay,
This is the thing that Roger was talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
So normally
item
this would-
720.
gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't notice anything else. Unless anybody has questions, maybe Taylor can answer.
That's
And I
it.
do just want to point out, sometime this year, you will get transfers from your savings account to your checking. I just want the board to be aware, it will have to happen. at some
Just to
point this
keep
year.
things active, keep
To
things
keep things
moving.
active, and when we budgeted for TDW, we budgeted to have that expense to be transferred.
Gotcha.
That's standard because we bring down the checking and then, remember, we had so much money in checking and
Yeah, you gotta get some interest.
so we put it in the savings, so
Yeah.
it's just a transfer.
And we transferred that last year, we transferred 100,000 last year because it was too high in the checking account.
All right.
Does that require board approval to transfer from savings to checking?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay,
When it's time, I'll bring it to the board, it'll be on the agenda for a transfer in the bank account.
okay.
The last time we did it was last year. I think the first time we did it was last
It
year, too.
was.
Okay. Is there a motion on the floor to accept the P&L and the balance sheet? Second, please.
I'll second.
Barry. Any discussion? Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions carried. Thank you. Unfinished business, TGW marketing update.
I'll start from here, Katie, just so that you know, we do have the PowerPoint ready to go. But Katie, Gwen, and myself met with Representatives Beal from TGW. And Katie agreed to do the presentation. If you're comfortable, would you be willing to do the presentation? Or and we could help out if need be, but we're looking for you. We're looking for your guidance.
Sure. Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. So thanks everyone. So we had a chance for the newly formed marketing committee. So that's Terry, Gwen, and I to meet with TWG last week and wanted to share this high-level report with you all to let you know how the campaign is going. It was a great meeting. It's really exciting to see some of the marketing get out into market and really drive some action. So Terry, if you can go to the campaign summary and introduction page 2.
I think that was it. Did you look at the revised version or do you have the 12-page version?
I have just the 12-page version. So let me go off of your screen.
Yeah, so
That's
can
fine.
you go back to that first, that slide right there? Yes. Okay, so this is the, we had a, just so that this board knows, there was a more detailed, kind of in the weeds kind of version. And we felt that for the board purposes, there was like a higher level version that would be, you know, more, I guess, consumable for the board's purposes. So do you want to go off of this slide, Katie?
Yep, sounds great. So we'll start with Facebook. So here you can see that our Facebook spend in March was a little less than $700. And with that $700, we were really focused on growing awareness around what AIDA is and also the Take Root in Auburn, Learn to Love the Place brand. With an action that we were wanting folks seeing this to sign up to learn more so that they would be engaged with future communications that we would be sending out to them. And for March, we targeted the ads to residents of Cuyahoga County. So it was done, you know, with that local targeting, and they were reaching men and women, men between the ages of 25 and 65 and women between the ages of 55 and 65. And do you want to go to the next page?
Yeah, it's we're at the, starts off with 26,000 people.
Yes, so this gives a recap for you all of the reach that we were able to achieve with that nearly $700. So we reached almost 27,000 people with those ads promoting both Auburn and AIDA. And we had engagement of just about 800 people who click through to go to our website. And from that, 64 people signed up to receive future emails from us. So they enrolled in our lead generation marketing activity, which is great to see. Any questions on Facebook? Okay. So next we'll go to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn had a budget of $400 for March. And really, LinkedIn is a platform where professionals are doing social media interaction. So it's a great place to meet and interact with folks in the business community. And so our ads were reaching out to business owners, C-level execs, and VPs, focused on reaching folks in business development and operations roles. And if we go to the next page, the results we see from that $400 spend, we reached just over 10,000 people. And that was, again, with ads promoting Auburn and AIDA. 107 people clicked through to our website. And 3.3 times is the kind of the frequency of how often the ads were seen by an individual person. And that frequency is good. It helps them to keep kind of the brand top of mind and be more engaged. The next page is just a screenshot of what those ads look like, so you can see them. I would just like to pause here and just encourage the board, if you are active on social media, definitely encourage you to like our pages, to engage with our content, to share the content with your social media networks to help us get more of that reach. So many of us on this call have really great local and regional and national networks on social. So it would be great for us as the board to support that amplification of the message.
Yes, and Beal wanted me to let you know that this presentation mostly focuses on the paid aspect, but on the original PowerPoint, there was the takeaway that it's also, there's a lot of positive organic reach as well. And a lot of that has to do with what Katie was just saying about us as board members and our friends really kind of liking and sharing these posts when we see them on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Great, thanks, Terry. And then just a recap with some figures so you can see kind of the growth. So the chart at the bottom is showing visits to our website, the takerootinauburn.org website, and you can see, so the orange line is the month of February, so it's January 29th to February 28th, and the blue line is the month of March. So you can see, you know, by putting money behind those ads, we are definitely increasing the traffic to the website. So it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, which is great to see. And I like to think of it almost like pressing the gas pedal on your car. You kind of need that constant, you know, paid social amplification to keep that growth at the level you want to keep it growing.
Yes, and I know that the Twitter also we're you know, getting a lot of play there. I know it wasn't included in here, but as was said, it's you know, Beal wanted to focus on this. Gwen, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, first of all, I would just invite the general reaction to our board members as it relates to this report. And the reason I'm asking that is because one of the things we spent a lot of time when we were negotiating the contract was how would we know? What would be the evidence or the data that's presented to the board that would let us in a collective way understand how this particular type of marketing and branding is allowing us to achieve some of our larger goals. So just generally speaking, the marketing committee would like to know was this report easy for you to take in and ingest? And is this the kind of data you're looking for? I got some head nods in the room.
Yeah, I think it's exactly, for me anyways, is exactly what I was looking for.
Okay,
Yeah.
Definitely.
Lisa?
Yes,
Anybody?
I'm going on Facebook to follow it right now.
Good looking out.
Good, all right.
Bill, any just what we're looking at is the information being presented to the board, to you as a board member in a way that allows you to monitor the impact of us investing in this particular type of marketing strategy.
Yeah, I was on today in my office and I liked it. It really, I don't know. I'm fighting for the word, but it's very well presented.
Mhm.
You look at it and all the information's there and it answers any you might have. The only thing I did notice for the longest time now, and it's not a big deal. It's just that it's just the way I am about things. It has not necessarily on these new pages, but pages that have been there for a while now.
Mhm.
Auburn's 35 miles from Syracuse. And that's not correct. And sometimes little mistakes like that, if it's somebody wants to come here and they're a bigger group and they want to pull people, I mean, there's a difference between 35 miles and 24 miles. 24 from Fulton Street.
Mhm.
Just so somebody should correct that. Either that or it's just me being me.
No, well, I think that this is actually the kind of feedback that would be helpful to our committee, that if you as board members, when you're monitoring the website or looking at the social media information, if you see information that you feel could be a deterrent to our ability to get people to engage in this, we would want to know that, typos, all of that kind of stuff. The thing about this particular type of marketing is that it's agile. So as soon as our TGW gets the feedback, they can immediately, within a reasonable amount of time, make the updates to this report. So we wanted to present the report in this format to the board now, know that we are absolutely open to tweaking it and adjusting it. And as Bill starts to feed up more information, our goal is to provide you with the data that speaks to the cost and the impact. And of course, if you want all 12 pages, you can have that.
Yeah.
What's the date?
So Katie, do you have anything else?
No, that's the bulk of what we wanted to cover. Are there any other questions or thoughts from folks in the room or on the phone?
No.
Okay.
Katie, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's an exciting committee to be a part of. They're doing great work. It's good to be able to share that with you.
Yeah, I'd like to thank that committee. That's a lot of work you put into it. Thank all of you.
If I could too, I also would like just to acknowledge the staff that's been working with TGW to pull this off. Devin was at our committee
Yes,
meeting and
and Giovanni.
really, and Giovanni, really making sure that we were on the same page with TGW since they work most closely with them. But the staff has been doing a really good job during this period of transition and keeping this stuff moving forward. And again, I think the big issue for us was, are we going to get a return on our investment? So the data that we try to bring forward will be indicative of that all the time with visible evidence that this is what it looks like when it's really making.
I want to thank you and Terry for the work you put into this too. I appreciate it.
And Katie, it was like a nice Zoom meeting. We were able to kind of go through the information, and we pointed to Beal saying can you put this in a slide, put that in a slide, and was able to.
It was a more workable situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And we considered this like ad hoc, so there's no motion that needs to be done. It's kind of like we're just kind of providing just basic information.
We appreciate it.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. That's Rick's dog. Okay, moving on. Does anybody have any further questions for Holly?
Katie, yeah, no.
Or she can leave. Well,
Well, Katie's gotta stay.
not Katie.
Oh, Holly.
Holly's RJC development.
She's with.
Yeah, she was wrong.
Okay.
Right.
Fiduciary acknowledgement reminders. Has everybody filled them out? And sent them in?
I think I've been responsible this time, is that true? What? I thought I said, I'm gonna check my emails.
That's the one that came from the city.
Oh, that I sent to the city.
You sent it to the city.
If this is the one that came from the city, Jim Dagger even got it to the right place. for me.
We're just missing a couple. Everyone that was present at the last meeting has turned it in.
Okay.
I will do another one.
Let's put that to bed, okay? There's somebody that needs to be reminded. We're having trouble giving you a see the staff update. Do you have anything?
I don't know, do you have a CEO update or no?
She doesn't have it?
Not at the present time.
Okay,
Working, the committee's working diligently on it, but haven't totally finalized it yet.
okay. Well, everyone knows Danielle has departed. Her spot is now vacant, so it's just myself and Julia for CETA staff. Today, Julia and myself tagged along with TTW on some of their itinerary stops. I spent time this morning at Oakwood Farms. We got a lot of photos of the cows. They gave us a rundown of how everything works. They went to Dumont Farms, Courier Plastics, Forum Precisions. They visited the middle school, high school, Hoops Park, Emerson Park. And then they took shots downtown. They ate lunch at Spoon and Fork. They wanted to try something different, a newer business, a smaller business that isn't, a chain. Then they visited the Harriet Tubman site. I think they went to Seward. And I know they may have gotten some top shots down to go on the website to get more data for our website. Julia is working hard on the ARPA application to administer for small businesses. She has received 55 applications so far. She is working with the business owners to make sure everything is correct. The deadline for that is the end of this month, April 29th. And after that, we'll be convening with the city to go ahead and determine who will receive the grants. The grants are up to $40,000. It's a reimbursable grant, and it dates back to March 3rd of 2021 of when you need to be in business to be eligible.
And is it still open, or is the
It is still
the
open.
applications
Yep.
are still open?
So you have the option of submitting it online, or you can print it out and send it to us, or drop
Okay.
it off and we're able to upload it back to the portal.
Great.
So we can do it that way. Also, we are trying to move forward with the DRI, the Downtown Revitalization Initiative. I've been working with certain businesses to make sure they are on track to move forward. Our deadline for that is December of this year. It's very likely we will have to ask for an extension because the way costs are, things are kind of delayed in that aspect. I think that's all.
Okay. Thank you. And you just covered small business support, right?
Yes.
So, the new business, the Seminary Commons mortgage refinance resolution.
If I may, Jim, would it make more sense to do our JC first?
Seminary Commons was invited. They did not join us.
Pardon me?
Seminary Commons.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they were invited. They confirmed they were coming. She's not on. the
Oh,
screen.
and then, all right, fine. Then we'll do the, yeah, I agree. We'll do the RJC development. And I'm looking for a motion. First, is there a motion on the table to table the issue?
Should we bring it forth first and then table? we'll bring it forth and then just kind of talk about it. And then if the board needs to,
What do you want to talk about?
well, can we bring it to the board or bring it to the table or bring it to the?
So would you like me to explain the issue? I can walk you through it.
Should we bring it to the
It's not formalized.
floor first? It's not on the floor yet.
All right, so yes, bring it to the floor.
Okay. So
The motion to bring it to the floor.
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstentions carried. Thank you. Rick?
Okay, so there are actually two resolutions before the board for RJC. The first one is compliance with the Seeker Act, State Environmental Quality Review. And the city had previously approved a negative deck under Seeker for this project. So AIDA is essentially piggybacking on the city's prior Seeker resolution. It's an unlisted action, and it's based upon the environmental assessment form that the company provided. And so there's sufficient findings for staff recommends that AIDA adopt a negative declaration for the project. Don't have to do that yet, but that's number one. That's the first resolution. And then the second resolution is a closing resolution approving 3 forms of financial assistance for the project. One is an exemption from sales tax for all the building materials and machinery, equipment, furniture, and fixtures used to outfit the project. The second is an exemption from mortgage tax to the extent of 0.75% on any mortgage financing the company obtains to finance the project. And then the third is a payment in lieu of tax agreement as an abatement for real property taxes. And the pilot agreement, and actually all 3 forms of financial assistance, all comport with the AIDA's uniform tax exemption policy. Now, the issue that's just come up today, unfortunately, has to do with this company's qualification as a retail project. So this application came in back in February, and as Taylor mentioned, Danielle at the time was the person in charge of it. So it's clear that it's the project is a retail project because the tenants in the building will be selling goods and services for consumption to the public. So it's a retail project. For retail projects to qualify for AIDA financial assistance, they have to meet one of 4, if you want to call them criteria or exceptions. So the first exception is it can be a tourist destination. That would not apply here. The second is it could be if the project supplies or sells unique products or services that are not otherwise available in the 5-county area, that also would not apply here. The third is if the project is located in an area formerly designated as an Empire Zone, and I'll just set that one aside for the moment. And then the fourth one, which is the one that was used here to qualify this project, is that the project is within a highly distressed area. And a highly distressed area is defined as, it's defined by income levels and also by unemployment levels. And I won't bore you with the stats. It has to be, if the income level is below a certain poverty line, this particular area does meet that criteria. Second is the unemployment rate has to be a certain percentage in excess of the statewide employment rate pursuant to the last census data available. So this afternoon, we received some information back from the city where some people at the city do not feel that this project meets, or that the area the project's in doesn't meet the second criteria as far as the unemployment rate. So we have to go back and verify that and discuss if we're going to pass that test. I don't want to say right here now that it fails. The other possibility is we can go back and determine if the project was in an area formerly designated as an Empire Zone. My recollection is that almost, if not pretty much all, the entire city of Auburn was designated as an Empire Zone when the Empire Zones were live. But again, that's something that we have to go back and verify. So we have really two routes to go here. And one would be to, as was discussed, just table both these resolutions until more information is available as to what, if the project qualifies as retail. It would put it off another month. And I would just say, in fairness to the company, there was a snafu last month. It was originally going to be on the March agenda, but because of some slip ups, it wasn't. So if we table it, we're off for another month. The other way would be to consider the resolution subject to verification that it does in fact qualify either under as a highly distressed area or as a former Empire Zone. And the resolution would only take effect if working with staff, we were able to confirm one of those two criteria.
Rick?
So I guess, I'm open for questions, and then the ultimate question is whether we, put it off for a month or we pass it on a continued basis. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Rick and Jim. So I think, it's unfortunate that this is, because I know that Mr. Coe wants to move forward on this, but is it something that we can, have, if it is tabled, would it be that the CETA staff work with Mr. Coe to can the application be modified after it's been submitted so that it does conform or comply with whatever the city of Auburn has seen as something that might jeopardize its success as an application? Can the application be modified without going through the whole process again and have it be ready for March if we do table it, or not May?
Ready for May. Yes.
Yeah.
We can make amendments to the application as necessary.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And Rick, I just want to clarify. So is the amendment that would need to be made confirmation that Ryan's company meets the criteria? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, it's not so much his company meeting the criteria. It's the criteria. It's the location of the project.
Got it.
So the project has to be located in either one, highly distressed area, or two, an area formerly designated as an Empire Zone.
And is that the point of confirmation? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes,
That's
right.
the piece of work that has to be done
That's
on the
right.
part of the city. Is that correct?
Well, it's not so much a city. It's just it just is. It
Terry,
either
who confirms that? That's what I'm.
So
confused about.
what happens is, here's what I'm imagining needs to happen. that Mr. Coe would have to either, we'd have to confirm that the city of Auburn is an Empire Zone, and in the proper place in the application, have that be the place in which a retail place can get this benefit. And then that way, it's, the unemployment rate, which is more kind of like fluid, it's more variable based. An Empire Zone is an Empire Zone, and if Rick is right, that would be the more solid thing for Mr. Coe to use. And again, it's unfortunate that these kinds of things come up, but it's I know that the city attorney is very wants AIDA to kind of go through the proper channels, especially the representatives for Auburn to go through the proper channels. So I mean, I do feel more comfortable tabling it for one more month and to at least make sure that everything is in order with both our attorneys for AIDA and also the city attorneys. That's my thought.
Rick, have you had any discussion with the city attorney?
Yes. Yeah, the reason this comes up with the city, I mean, you don't normally have to have the city confirm an AIDA project. But again, the exception is for retail in the statute to say if it's a retail project, then the city has to confirm AIDA's findings. So we sent all the information over to the city last week, and then I had several email exchanges with Stacy. I supplied her the information that Danielle was using to confirm, the census tracts and unemployment and what have you. And this afternoon, so what happened, actually, I don't know, Taylor, how much I should want. So Jenny Haynes got involved. Jenny got Tracy Verrier involved. I see there's an email from Tracy where she cast some doubt on whether the unemployment rate is sufficiently high to put this in the highly distressed area. So there's a whole bunch of just kind of like facts and figures that got to be backtracked. And, I probably got to get on a call or some emails with Stacy, Jenny, Tracy, Taylor, and we'll all put our heads together. And it's just, we're either going to agree, if the city does not agree that it meets the unemployment test, then they're not going to sign the letter, and that's the end of it. If it was in the Empire Zone, I mean, I agree with Terry. If it was in the Empire Zone, we can confirm it was in the Empire Zone. End of story. It qualifies. So we do need, a little bit of time. I mean, I think it's something that can be handled in just a day or two to confirm whether this project qualifies. But if people are more comfortable tabling it to next month, I mean, that's totally you as a board, that's in your discretion.
So Rick, this is Gwen again, and just please bear with me because I'm trying to understand sort of the process. So Terry, when I hear you say that until we confirm, who is the we that we're talking about?
Until the board is,
The AIDA
from my perspective, whatever issues the city has, I would like resolved before we vote on this. And for me, it's really kind of a switch in the application, but it's got to be it's just got to be determined whether it's in the Empire Zone or, because if the unemployment rate doesn't meet that criteria, then it should be the Empire Zone that be the criteria that is used in the application.
And that's the piece that I'm also trying to understand. So who decides or determines that this piece of land is
Rick-
within the Empire Zone. That's what I'm trying
Rick
to.
and Tracy.
Got it, okay. And Tracy Fourier is involved in what way? As a consultant, as a,
I think they just reached out to her for some advice.
because of her historical knowledge?
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm asking these questions because I want to make sure that I'm clear about it as a board meeting, but I think it's fair and right to Mr. Coe to understand why we have to go through this, and he might need to be patient while we do, because I think the most important thing to me is that we do this, A, with integrity and in alignment with what the criteria is going to be, so that should this have the opportunity to advance, we are confirmed and confident that it's advancing in the way that it should. So thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding the flow.
My concern is the optics. That if we approve it
Mhm.
and then for some reason it doesn't go through and the city refuses to sign the letter,
Mhm.
then that's bad optics for AIDA.
For everybody.
Well,
It's for- it's not
it's
fair
bad
for
optics and
For
it's
everybody.
it's bad everything for Mr. Cole
Yeah.
because and this is obviously I'm playing the middle person here, but I spoke with Attorney DeForest on my way here. She called me because she knew I was coming here. And, you know, when we say the city has to sign off on the letter, the city being Mayor Quill, she will not advise Mayor Quill to sign that letter if this is passed tonight without this information. So her suggestion is that we do table it. Because her legal advice to the mayor is not to sign that letter.
Why
is this just being brought up?
I would agree to table it.
Ryan's on.
I'm sorry, right, Mr. Coe, go ahead.
Why is this being brought up at the 11th hour?
That's a question for those who have been dealing with the staff. I literally found this out, Ryan, on my way here.
Yeah, this is.
Oh. I can answer that. I mean, this was Danielle who processed the application, confirmed, you know, in her mind anyway, that it met the highly distressed area test. All right, now the people at the city disagree. So you have, one of them's wrong, and we have to figure out who is wrong, and just have to dig into it.
But no one saw this like in the last 2 months that this was, that this came about. It just comes as extreme shock.
Yes. Well, I understand, and
This
nobody
is the
likes to
first time
try.
hearing.
No, I know, I understand, and nobody
The
likes.
first time we heard it too tonight
was-
too, so.
Yeah,
I didn't even have any knowledge of it before the meeting. I would have thought I would have got a phone call about it.
well, I don't know what, nobody likes surprises. It just came up this afternoon, that the city got back to AIDA and said they had a problem with the letter because of the unemployment criteria. So there's some disagreement, I guess, between what, Danielle had told AIDA and now what the city is saying. We just, it has to be sorted through and see which is right.
Can I offer something, given that this is, Mr. Coe is expecting to vote, for us to vote on this tonight. If we table it so that, Rick and the city staff can pinpoint what Mr. Coe needs to do, or if it currently does fit that criteria, that it's locked in solid. I would be open for a special meeting and not wait a month. Obviously, Mr. Coe doesn't want to wait any longer. So, is this something that can be done, is this something that can be done, as you said, Rick, so that, maybe a week or two, we can come back to the table and put this up for vote?
It should not take 2 weeks. It should, we should have a yes or no answer just in a couple days.
Okay, so once we do have an up or down, and Mr. Coe, if you're okay, if whatever recommendation is put forth, if the application might be fine as it is, if it's confirmed that the unemployment numbers are right, or if it is in the Empire Zone and it does, and would you be willing to change the application? Would you be willing to do that, and then we could vote on it at our earliest convenience, and we'll obviously let you know and go from there. That's where we're at right now.
Rick, do we have to have another public hearing?
No,
Okay. That takes that out of the equation.
I mean, I totally get it, and I'm open to that. I guess I'm just really shocked, to be perfectly honest with you. I just really like got me at the knees to hear this, in this meeting. I was really expecting to hear, I would have expected to hear something prior. And I understand you guys just heard it this afternoon, but I would have appreciated a phone call or just some notice. We have, changed our application many times at the 11th hour and, been more than accommodating. I understand this is out of your guys' control. I can appreciate all you've done. I guess that's the only option we have, but it just really is disappointing because we've been so delayed multiple times already. And it just keeps it's pushing the project back further and further and further.
And we're sorry, and again, I don't know if I can speak for the board, but I hope that we're willing to, meet early so that we can do our best to make up for this. So.
Yeah, I just have a lot of people in line on things, and it's just every time it gets pushed back. And I know it's not your fault, and I'm sorry you're hearing it from me and that I'm a little upset about it, but it's just very disappointing and frustrating for sure.
Mr. Coe, I understand your frustration, and I also hear that you're hearing that we are hearing it pretty much simultaneously to you. So what I would say on behalf of my colleagues is that we are people who operate from a place of integrity and would not intentionally put your company in this situation. I would like to just put on the table for your consideration and my colleagues that I think it's critically important that we get this right for you so that when it's the correct way, then you can really feel free to move forward. And, you are hearing our apologies for this coming up, because like I said, we're all hearing it simultaneously. And I, as a board member, would say to my colleagues, I would fully support reconvening once everything's confirmed to vote on this at our earliest mutually convenient time. And that I think it's important that there be some communication with Mr. Coe as appropriate and in alignment with the process.
Yeah, I second all of that. And Mr. Coe, just to put things in perspective, not that it's going to make you feel better, but just so that you can understand where I'm coming from and notification process. I received an email at 3:20. I didn't see it until 4:08 because I was in a meeting. I printed it off on my way out the door and because I walked from my office here, was reading it, and our attorney called me, or I called my attorney back because she had called me while I was in the meeting. So that's the notice I had. I know that doesn't make you feel better, but that's how it happened.
I don't doubt that one bit. I feel like you guys are very honest people and do operate with integrity. My issue is the city, because it feels like they didn't operate with integrity to call us or give us the proper notice or look at that. That's just how I'm seeing it and how I'm feeling right now. And I don't necessarily think that that's how it went down, but it just definitely is very disappointing.
As the process went through, a request went to the mayor's office to sign the letter with every expectation that it was just a routine. He has to sign a letter because the information we had was that everything else was in line. We didn't find out until this afternoon that it wasn't in line. So, our apologies, but I think you have to appreciate where we're coming from also.
No, I 100% can. And if we could, reconvene in a week, if you guys are available, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, somebody from this staff will get back to you, Mr. Coe.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So we'll be Taylor.
So is there a motion? So we motion to table it and then go from there.
Well, I've got to we're going to table. Now, the motion is for both tabling the closing and the seeker.
Yes.
yeah.
Okay?
So to confirm, there's no other issues besides this one issue in question?
That we're aware of.
Ryan's
Let's,
like,
cross our fingers, right? I would, Rick, you are the one that is you have looked at this application. This is the only thing you see as being holding this up. Is the,
Correct.
is that, okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna put my faith in Rick for this is the last check mark that needs to be made.
And I think the only other caveat I'd have, Jim, before you call the vote, is that this communication piece is, I think, gonna be important all along the way. So Rick, as soon as, and you all as our counselor colleagues as well, as soon as there is clarity about this, I think whatever the proper way to communicate that to Ryan's, Mr. Coe's business, where the status of this is, will be really helpful in terms of him at least beginning to think about, do I hit the reset button on this one more time with feeling? I feel like communication was part of the issue here. And so I just want to make sure that we're tabling this with the understanding that we want to also kind of do a process improvement as part of it, which would be to ensure that the proper
I
communication.
have to disagree with you. It wasn't a case of communication because the expectation was that this was everything was in line and that the mayor would have to sign the letter. That was an added thing that the mayor had to sign
Let
the
me
letter.
clarify what I'm talking
So,
about. Yeah, no, I want to clarify what I'm talking about. I'm not saying it's an issue of communication from us to the board. I think there was an issue of communication because we all got a last minute piece of information, Jim. I'm not putting this on you or anyone else. And the other thing that is curious is how there was this discrepancy between what our executive director thought was proper and how the application got through. From my perspective as a business owner, that's another piece of communication breakdown, that this business was led to believe that this application was okay and it hit a table where it was above. So I'm not saying we didn't communicate, I'm saying there was communication dynamics in the process. And I hear Mr. Coe saying that he wants to make sure he's not appreciative of the fact that he didn't find this out till he's on this screen. And so the only thing I'm offering for our collective consideration is if our collective intent is to get this right, then we need to make sure that the lines of communication between us, the people that need to make this decision, and Mr. Coe are open. So yes, I'm sorry you misunderstood what I was saying.
all right, is there a motion on the floor to table the closing and the C-Corp? And we will come back for a special meeting as soon as possible.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions carried. Thank you. Again, Mr. Coe, our apologies.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Coe.
Seminary Commons Mortgage Refinance Resolution.
Do you want me to explain this one, Jim?
Yeah, if you would, Rick, please.
Sure. So Seminary Commons has received a commitment from Adirondack Bank for $600,000 commercial mortgage on the property. And since AIDA is the leaseback holder, AIDA would join in the mortgage on non-recourse basis. That allows Seminary Commons to receive an exemption from the mortgage recording tax when they close on their mortgage. AIDA is entitled to charge an administrative fee, and Seminary Commons are responsible to pay AIDA's attorney's fees.
I have one question on this, Rick. Is it a 6-year loan or is it the maturity longer than that and it's just payment back at the end of 6 years?
The latter.
The latter. Do we have a date?
Well, it would be 6 years from when they close. So I don't know when they're going to close. They probably close within the next month.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be 6 months from, or 6 years, okay. Is there a motion on the floor to accept the resolution? The resolution is to give Seminary Commons a $600,000 loan and we're co-signers.
So moved.
No, we're not close.
No.
No,
No, we're not, it's not, I guess this is more of a formality, Rick, that, because since we're the lease back holders,
Yeah.
correct?
yes.
So
Yeah,
I'll
so-
also move that we are, we're bringing the resolution forward.
Yeah, so Adirondack Bank is supplying the money. AIDA just joins in mortgage on a non-recourse basis.
I misspoke, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Hey, you're entitled.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Lisa.
Is there any discussion? Questions? Why don't you do a roll call on that?
Mr. Daisy,
Aye.
Mr. Andre,
Aye.
Mr. Cuddy,
Yes.
Ms. Wilbur McLeod,
Yes.
Ms. McIntyre,
Aye.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Giantino,
Aye.
Mr. Gasper, Mr. Gravis.
Good, thank you. We do cover, you want to cover the upcoming events?
Sure. We have ABO trainings on May 20th from 9 to 11 a.m. Then we have the Cuba County Chamber of Commerce with a business after 5 at Savannah Bank on the 27th from 5 to 7. That's all in Fort Byron. Then we have the 2022 Chamber Luncheon, May 4th from 11:30 to the Springside. If you guys, because you guys are chamber members through AIDA, so if you guys would like to attend, please let me know so I can register you and we can have AIDA pay it. And then the Leadership Cuba project presentation is May 5th from 9 a.m. to 11, and that's at the Hilton, and I'm actually in the class for Leadership Cuba, so I'll be presenting.
Where's that going to be held?
The Hilton?
The Hilton, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion on the board, on the floor to adjourn?
Actually, I would like the motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
For what purpose?
Attorney-client privilege and the history of an employee individual.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?